Gold prices are on fire, breaking through the $2,500 mark. For those of you waiting for a pullback on gold prices to buy or to start accumulating gold as part of your wealth preservation strategy, well, I'm here to tell you, you might not get that pullback. There's no time better than now to start your game plan and strategies surrounding gold and silver investing. That's why it's critical that you make an appointment with us at ITM Trading. You can easily do so. There's a link below in the video description where you can book a Calendly with one of my colleagues, and they will do all the work for you. They're going to talk you through and walk you through a wealth preservation strategy centered around owning physical gold and silver. Do not waste any more time. Gold's just going to keep skyrocketing here. On that note, let's get to today's video. Hi, this is Daniela Cambone. Welcome back to the Daniela Cambone Show here on ITM Trading, where we have an action-packed week. Investors will be closely watching the Federal Reserve's Economic Policy Symposium at Jackson Hole, August 22nd to 24th, for clues about the timing of U.S. rate cuts, following a roller coaster of recent economic data. Here to talk about this and so much more is Gerald Celente, founder of the Trends Journal. Gerald, so good to be back with you. I mean, I had to bring you back. We have Jackson Hole, Democratic National Convention, so much on deck here.
Yeah, Jackson Hole, a bunch of jerks in a hole. I mean, Jackson Hole. I mean, it's a clown show. I mean, remember, there was no inflation. It was only temporary. Oh, no, it's only transitory. I mean, these aren't the brightest cats around, and they're going to lower interest rates. There's no question about it. It's only a question of how much they're going to lower them. And
it seems like that the big cut of 0.5. I mean, investors are waiting to know, is it on the table? Is it off the table? I mean, how many rate cuts? Everyone's going to eagerly be eating up every word that Jerome Powell says, because he's really going to be laying out the roadmap for cuts from now until the end of the year.
It's a guessing game. I mean, they're saying 75 basis points by the end of the year, 100 basis points down by the end of the year. As we see it, they're going to do everything they can to make the economy look good in the run-up to the presidential reality show. I mean, you don't have to be a brains, genius to figure this out. Who's our Treasury Secretary? Oh, Janet Yellen? What was the last job? The head of the Federal Reserve? Wait a minute. You mean the head of the Federal Reserve is our Treasury Secretary? They want to keep the same people in power. And again, I'm a political atheist. I want to make this really clear. I don't like any of them. Matter of fact, the cover of the Trends Journal coming out is going to be the Disney White House, Minnie Mouse versus Donald Duck, just to make this clear. So they're going to do everything they can to keep her in there. They're going to pump up the economy. Well, that's the way we see it. But how many basis points they're going to lower it, it's a guessing game.
And then what happens after the election?
It depends on where the markets go and where the economy's going. And again, as we see it, the markets are, look what just happened a couple of weeks ago.
Well, yeah.
Every markets were crashing, everything going. And all of a sudden, boom, it turns around under a little bit of data. There's a thing called a plunge protection team. They go in there to jack the markets up when they're going down. Look at the debt. Here, every day, every week in the Trends Journal, we have a list. This is our 100th week of doing it, of all the major job layoffs. And as we're going on the air, just before we went on the air, GM lays off more than 1,000 salaried software and service employees. Oh, but the job numbers are up. Wait a minute. What jobs are being created? The jobs that are being created are jobs for the plantation workers of Slavelandia. The jobs are in the hospitality service sector, the low-paying healthcare sectors. The high-paying jobs aren't there. So the economy's going down. It's artificially boosted up. Again, nobody talks about, again, it's a reality show. You know, Trump comes out about, oh, inflation went way up under Biden. Yeah, no kidding. What did you do? You brought the interest rates went down to zero, and how many trillions were dumped in to fight the COVID war under your administration and the Biden administration? Now let's go all over the world and look at the economy in Germany. What's it, the third largest economy in the world? Oh, it's doing great, isn't it? Oh, you're on the cusp of recession. You know, a GDP declining all over the world. Oh, China. Oh, China. It's only 1.4 billion people. Their economy is going to crap. Oh, but the markets are going up. You know, again, the market, it's going when the markets go down, then mainstream really knows how bad it is, even though they can feel it. They're going to do everything they can to artificially prop up the
Well,
markets to keep them high.
I'm so happy you brought up what happened a few weeks ago. I know I mentioned this with other guests, but you're bringing it up now, and because I'm still baffled by it, because I was, as you know, in Europe on vacation. All hell was breaking loose, right? Like the world was ending. I'm looking at what's happening in the markets. I'm like, my gosh, I need to get back and film fresh content. And by the time I took the flight, landed back in JFK, Gerald, everything was okay again.
Everything's fine.
Everything's fine.
Yeah.
How in the world, like, is okay? Maybe I'm not remembering, but was it like this in the 90s, Gerald? Early 2000s?
It was like this. Also, one of our we here. This is the Trends Journal when it used to be a monthly. This is the fall of 1999. It was a quarterly actually back then. Now it's a weekly. .com this.
Right.
.com overload will short circuit many high expectations for huge profits in internet commerce, entertainment, and a wide array of .com services. Following the holiday season, many of today's high-flying internet stocks, the hottest IPOs and newly emerging IPO wannabes, will have begun a deep descent from their overvalued heights. The markets, we said it would crash by the second quarter of 2000. It did, in March. The same exact thing is going on with the AIs. Yes, AI is the future. No question about it. They're inventing stuff just like they did with the .com thing. Yes, it became the .com is the reality. It became that, but it was over-invested in over-speculated markets. And then let's look at the facts. Oh, the Magnificent Seven. Isn't that nice? Oh, the Magnificent Seven. Oh, and what is the S&P 500? Owned by three companies. Was it BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street? Three companies own 88% of it? Oh, it's not rigged. How dare you say that? What am I, 6 years old? Who owns look at the elections. How much money are the billionaires throwing to their favorite candidate? How much? Again, the whole thing is run by them.
Yeah.
They're going to do everything they can to artificially prop this up so they can keep making more money, but it's going to bust at some time because the global economy, again, it was all artificially propped up. Stay home, close down. Oh, Daniela, we will not say one word about the office building bust. Oh, over there in San Francisco, the first state to close down California, what's the office vacancy rate? Oh, it's only 34.5%. Wait a minute, 34 empty, vacant? Hey, how are they going to pay their loans? Oh, how about New York City? Oh, 24% vacancy rate? Oh, did you see the building on 50th Street? Oh, yeah. Fact, 2006, the building sold for $320 million. 3 weeks ago, it went up for auction. It sold for the grand total of $8.5 million. There's going to be a office building bust that's going to bring back down the banks that no one is talking about.
Yeah. Well, we actually, I mean, we just witnessed a piece of it firsthand. We have our studio in New York City. We now have to change location. I mean, it worked out. We're even getting a better location, but that office building went bust, and it's like 57th Columbus Circle,
Yeah.
Gerald.
Yeah.
Right? So, but to your point about cracks in the labor market, and then I want to get back to politics because you were right on the money with that, but I'll get to that. But let's talk about the cracks forming in the U.S. labor market. So a survey, a Federal Reserve survey just came out this morning. So a slide in people reporting they're employed, a surge in those looking for work, and growing dissatisfaction with pay. The thrice yearly measure of labor activity, confidence, and satisfaction reflected growing concern in July about job security and an increase in those expecting to work past typical retirement age. Workers are still looking for higher starting salaries, but they're not getting the offers. So the cracks are showing. I mean, they could tell us anything they want about new job creations and that, but this is really what's going on, Gerald. People are struggling.
Yeah. Of course they're struggling. Look at again, they come out with this, the numbers are rigged, by the way, with the inflation numbers. You go to shadow stats, the inflation numbers are twice what they are. They started rigging these in the 80s and 90s. Oh, the prices of housing went up, what, 47% since they launched the COVID war in 2020? Oh no, but we're not putting that number in because you have rents and other things. So we're going, the price of steak went up. Oh yeah, but people changed their diet, so now they're eating different things. So again, it's way worse than what they're saying.
Yeah.
And again, the prices. Oh, inflation's gone. Only went. Yeah, but how much have the prices gone down? Oh, how about your car insurance, huh? Oh, the people aren't getting it anymore. When you look at the real numbers, the people, again, I call us the plantation workers of Slavelandia. 1% in America owns 54% of all the equities. And then you put the 10% in, it's over 90%. So for the average person, it's a struggle every day. And again, we do the data. Everything's changed. Everything. 9 o'clock at night now, after the COVID war, restaurants stopped serving. Streets are dead. It's a whole different environment. Businesses are all slowing down. All of that juice that they artificially propped into the markets now is drying up. And again, you have to look at the global data. Look what's going on. Again, Germany, Japan. Oh, we were talking about the markets before. Oh, the Nikkei only had its worst day in history a couple of weeks ago. Oh, but now it went back up.
Well, then what are we supposed to do? So here's part of the confusion. Talking about the likelihood of a U.S. recession, I'm looking at two banks, J.P. Morgan and Goldman Sachs, couldn't be more apart on this. Goldman Sachs cutting the likelihood of a U.S. recession now, and yet J.P. Morgan raising the probability of a recession now at 35%. Which one would you be more on the camp? Which side would you be more on here, Gerald? I mean, which bank should we be listening to?
We call it dragflation. The economy is going to go down and inflation is going to go up. There's no question about the economy going down. But again, if they start their act again and start pumping more cheap money in and inventing, look, I thought things would, I made my name. The facts are there. I call it the Wall Street Journal. I call the 1987 stock market crash. I call the Asian currency crisis, the dot-com bust, took out the domain name, the panic of '08 in 2007. I thought things would crash in 2012. They did not teach me about zero interest rates or quantitative easing in Economics 101 or graduate school. They'll make up any crap that they want to keep the crapshoot going. It's a gambler's market. They call them investors. It's a casino. And the casino owners are going to do everything they can to keep propping it up.
So maybe the truth lies in the gold price, Gerald. You see the new highs gold is making. What's it telling us?
What's one of your top trends for 2024 from the Trends Journal? A golden year for gold. It's very simple. All right, we're talking about lowering interest rates. The lower interest rates go, the deeper the dollar falls. The deeper the dollar falls, the higher gold prices go. This isn't rocket science. And the only reason the dollar's strong is because not because of the $35 trillion debt, not because when you put the real debt in with Social Security and all the payments coming in, it's over like $300 trillion. The dollar is only strong because of the high interest rates. When the interest rates go down, the dollar goes down. And then we're seeing all the information coming out about the BRICS and how so many countries are disgusted with the United States geopolitical and socio-economic economic hegemony. They've had it. Again, we called it golden year for gold. And we could see gold hitting $3,000 this year an ounce.
Gerald, let me ask you this though. So why don't they say, okay, forget, we want to keep the dollar propped up at all costs. So let's not do rate cuts. I mean, why do you feel they're going to be forced to do those cuts?
They're going to force to do the cuts in the run up to the election. They want to juice the markets. They want to prop it up before the election. That's the way we see it. They do it all the time. And we think they're going to, again, you got Janet Yellen, the Treasury Secretary, who's a former Fed head. I mean, they're running a show. You know, take a quick story. You saw the pictures when you were up here. There's a picture of me and John Connolly. John Connolly was the governor of Texas that took the bullet in the back, sitting in front of Kennedy. It was a picture of me, him, and his wife in front of the book depository, 1992. He wanted to meet me because in this book, Trend Tracking, that I wrote, far better than Megatrends, Time Magazine, I had forecast a new third party, someone like Ross Perot. This is 2 weeks before the election in 92. I'm making a very long story short. As we're going back into the Anatole Hotel, he said to me, I read your book, a fine piece of work. And he said, I know your heart's in the right place. He said, well, you don't have a clue what's going on. And neither did the American people. Because if they did, there'd be a revolution in this country. This is the same John Connolly, the Democratic governor of Texas that took the bullet in the back, was the Treasury Secretary, Republican, under Richard Nixon that took us off the gold standard. All right? That's what's going on. They'll do anything they can to keep.
I wonder what he saw, Gerald.
Well, he saw what a fraud it was. People forget, again, I grew up during the Vietnam War. Inflation started to skyrocket because of all of the money going into the war, all the money that they were pumping into the 70s. I remember when it was long, I remember getting a 10% raise in my job, and everybody did. That's how bad inflation was. They did this to put in more cheap money because they didn't have to back it by gold, and they haven't stopped doing it.
I never asked you this question, and it's kind of going off on a tangent, but you just made me, gave me an idea to ask you it. Do you think the gold's in Fort Knox?
I don't believe a damn thing that these liars. Saddam Hussein has weapons of mass destruction and ties to Al Qaeda. I mean, look at the garbage that they throw out there. I don't believe a word that they say. Again, and that was the other thing too, as you know. I was the assistant to the Secretary of the New York State Senate, worked on major political campaigns, Westchester County. I've been with presidents, prime ministers, and princes. When I quit my job up in Albany, none of my friends could believe it. I said, no, I'm not going to suck my way up to get to the top. That's not my trip. My best friend, Brian Donahue, may he rest in peace, his wife became the lieutenant governor in the Pataki. There's not a word that I believe. These are the same people I couldn't stand in high school and college that wanted to be class president, head of student council. That's who's running this show. They're a bunch of little nobodies. And they'll lie and lie and lie and steal and cheat. Look at the lies. Look at the lies that they told us when the banksters bailed out the banks when everything went bust in 2007, 2008. Look how they lied, and the trillions of dollars they dumped into JP Morgan, Citigroup, one after another without telling us anything. Was it $29 trillion? $29 trillion the Federal Reserve dumped in to the banksters according to the Levy Institute at Bard College.
Another reason I really wanted to bring you up back today is, obviously people ask me, oh, do you ever track your guests' forecast? Absolutely. And I invite you to look at Gerald's track record. Most recently, ones that come to mind, Gerald, spot on with calling the Middle East war when no one was talking about it. And you've been saying for months that Biden was not going to be on the ticket. So your thoughts, well, first of all, I didn't get a chance to speak with you when he was, when he stepped down, ousted, however you want to label it. What was your first reaction? And I bring it up because I saw Fareed Zakaria had, the CNN guy, had a political analyst, had a pinned tweet that in a historical first, we see a leader, graciously step down. But what's your interpretation of how that went down?
It was we said go back to your Trends Journal, May 17th and May 23rd, 2022, during the midterm elections. We said, it's right there in black and white, that Kamala Harris was going to run for president again, because at that time, Biden was 79 years old. The people were very unhappy with him and the economy. And we said she's going to hit the campaign trail in 2022. And her major issues that she will only stand on is pro-abortion,
right,
and the Ukraine war. And we said, again, I want to make this clear, we're trend forecasters. It's not what you like, what you want, what you wish for, what you believe in. It's what is. We said the Republicans would do very well in the midterm elections because of the dissent, the low standard that Biden had, but they will not do well because of their anti-abortion stance. And that's exactly what happened. And about a month ago, we sent out a special trend alert repeating all that we wrote. And we said Harris will win,
right,
minus a wild card, like a market crash. Then they'll go for Trump. But minus a wild card, she's in. Again, I don't like any of them, not voting for any of them. We were the first magazine to call Trump a winner in May of 2016, when all the polls said he would lose, because the people were disgusted with the establishment. So at this point, again, minus a wild card, we see Harris winning.
Gerald, what do you think of this momentum behind Harris? I mean, are you surprised by it? I mean, I don't know. Do people love her as vice president, and now that she's stepped up? I mean, how has she created this era of she's ushering in the new hope? And
first of all,
is it just great marketing or what?
First of all, I did an article for Sputnik about a week before the debate in June. I said, again, by the way, I also designed and instructed a course called American Politics and Campaign Technology, How to Run Political Campaigns. And I taught it at St. John's University. Again, I used to work on major campaigns in Westchester County. I wouldn't know what I know if I wasn't on the other side. And I hated the other side. That's why I got off. But anyway, going back, this thing was all planned out. Going back to the June debate, never, ever did they ever do a debate that early. They did this purposely to show Biden's inability, that he's going out of his mind, which everybody knew for a long time.
Right.
This isn't like news that the guy he's nuts. So they did this purposely, that's what we said before it happened. They're going to show his incompetency so that they can put Harris up and running. And we also are saying that we may hear that the president is not feeling well, blah, 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 blah. He's going to resign from office and Kamala Harris will be president. Now the people will be going to the polls in November voting for a past president and a current president. They're going to do
Interesting.
everything they can to pump her up. Here, again, I want to make this clear. This is from your Trends Journal. Our May 17th, 2022 trend forecast. Harris has aspirations to be president of the United States, and she knows that her boss is an unpopular president who is 79 years old. She wants to be the party's standard bearer and needs to start making a name for herself if she hopes to run for president again. We go right here. Being that the Biden administration is viewed as ineffective in bringing down inflation and strongly boosting the economy, Harris will seize upon abortion rights. It's as simple as that, and you got to go by the numbers, because here are the numbers. Again, NBC News, again, this is going back. NBC News reported that the Public Policy Research Institute ran a national poll in February that found 64% of Americans think abortion should be legal in all or most cases. And the poll, when broken down by political affiliation, found 87% of Democrats, you ready? 69% of independents and 37% of Republicans say abortion should be legal. So you got 65% of independents, and you got mostly all of the Democrats. It's going to be a one-issue vote for a lot of people. She's going to get
But
the one
why
vote.
wasn't that the case? Don't you think it was interesting? Because when it was Biden at the helm, you saw the map, everything was turning red. So people disliked Biden so much. So even the same people that, abortion is their number one voting reason, but they disliked Biden so much that they weren't going to show up, or they were going to vote for Trump.
They weren't going to show up. Again, people forget the June debate. Yeah, Biden showed that he's out of his mind, and Trump did a lousy job too. Everybody was disgusted with it. You look at the numbers, and you look at the numbers. Both the people didn't want either of them. So now she's going to get the woman vote, she's going to get the black vote, and she's going to get the I hate Trump vote. That I hate Trump voters would not have gone to the polls if Biden was running.
You know what's crazy, Gerald? I saw Biden show up at that Harris rally, and I thought, wow, he's looking refreshed now. He actually looked better than ever now that he was off the ticket.
All juiced up. I mean, come on. It's, like this guy's out of his mind and gone. I'm going to tell you, I really believe that he's going to say he's not president. And that it's a real possibility. And now she'll be president of the United States. And I'm telling you, she's going to get the woman vote, black vote, and a lot of Hispanic vote. And again, people vote with one issue. They don't know the details.
Just one final point. Wouldn't you have loved to be in the room when they finally convinced him to get off the ticket?
I think he didn't want to be on the ticket, and I think the whole thing was planned out. I think it was a lot of baloney. Again, look at the facts. Trump was riding high. He was riding high after he almost got assassinated.
Right.
Then they have the convention.
There was just so much momentum. I thought, and everyone thought that's it. The election's done.
And then they waited till after. They know what they're doing. They waited till after the Republican convention to announce that Biden wasn't running.
Yeah.
They know what they're doing. Again, it's a reality show. That's all it is. It's a presidential reality show. We're watching a movie. They got the script written.
Let's end with this. Because, as I mentioned, you were obviously one of the first to say the real issue lies in the Middle East, and it is what can bring down the entire global economy. As you know, Gerald, the Middle East is as close to a broad regional war than it has been in decades. With the rise of Iran, and Iran really going up against Washington now. How do you see this playing out? Is this the number one danger we need to be paying attention to?
The number one Go back to the Trends Journal. 2 days before the Russian invasion of Ukraine, we're going back to February 22nd, 2022. From COVID war to Ukraine war to World War. World War III's already begun. We've been writing now for over a year, that Ukraine is going to do everything they can to defeat Russia, which we don't think they're going to do, but they're going to also do things like bomb nuclear power plants. That's a reality. And it's already happening. They hit one plant already. It's hardly making the news. Then you have the Israel war. Again, we kept saying that that Netanyahu is not going. Again, I was on the air with you like a couple of days after the Hamas attack on October was it 7th in 2023. I said this thing is going to keep escalating. Now it's 10 months later, and now Israel they killed a guy in Tehran, keep shooting and killing people Hezbollah in Lebanon. They're ramping it up. One of my sayings is, oh, by the way, the Israeli the numbers just came out. The economy is going down the crapper. When all else fails, they take you to war. Oh, by the way, the billionaires give all this money to the campaigns, not a penny for peace. Could you imagine if the billionaires all joined together? Here's billions of dollars of peace. We want peace now. We got to stop this. No.
Well, I think of that, Gerald, but I also think of if all the billionaires gave money to Africa, that would finally end child poverty. But
no, all they're interested in is making more money. They're putting it into the military-industrial complex. Look how they're bragging, how they bragged that we're making more weapons for Ukraine and for Israel, and we're creating jobs in America. Right?
But meanwhile, Iran has now 30 times the uranium. They've mined 30 times the uranium that was allowed. I mean, what do you think they're doing with this uranium? How, they have a full-on nuclear program, Gerald.
Yeah, again, these are the Persians. They're not going anywhere. And again, look at the numbers. What they got? 91 million Iranians versus 9 million Israelis. Who's going to win? And after Israel killed the commander in Damascus, Syria, at the consulate, when Iran attacked, they showed their capability. It cost Israel $1.3 billion to shoot down the drones and missiles, which all they did was throw them into areas that weren't going to kill anybody. And they could just flood them in. No. And then I'm concerned about that thing called the Samson option, that Israel says that if they lose, they go nuclear.
It's terrifying, Gerald. It's absolutely terrifying.
Well, yeah, I'm having, by the way, I launched Occupy Peace, and on September 28th, up here in Kingston, and you were there in the beautiful garden on the most historic four corners of America, I'm having Judge Napolitano, Scott Ritter, Max Blumenthal, Anya Parampil, and others for a peace rally. We want to close down. We need peace. If we don't have peace on earth, it's going to be hell on earth. And you said this has been going on in the Middle East for how long? It's been going on for centuries. For centuries. Once upon a time, there was a real man that was a real president that fought, George Washington, his farewell address. Don't become involved in any foreign entanglements. Basically, this crap has been going on forever. We're not going to fix it. It's none of our business. We have to rebuild. We have to build America. Again, what's your favorite war? The Peloponnesian War? No, I like the 100-Year War. Oh, the War of Roses was lovely. I mean, this stuff's been going on forever.
Gerald, let's bring it home with this. Obviously, I said it's a big week. Jackson Hole, DNC. Anything you're doing differently these days to prepare for what's ahead, for the economy? I mean, anything we can do. I always like to end it with just, some words of advice, words of wisdom here.
Well, the facts are I bought more gold 2 weeks ago. And I tell everybody everywhere, get in the best shape you can, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. You're in the fight for your life, and do something positive every day for those who really need help, and to do something to bring a higher level of life back. Once upon a time when I was a young guy, there was a thing called the Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus. They went out of business. You don't have to step right up, step right up. See the fat man, see the
Yeah.
lady, see the lady with the beard. Look how this country's declined in front of our eyes. Look, the numbers again. It's an article in this week's magazine. Americans are the most have the shortest lifespan of all the English speaking countries in the world. Look what's happening to this country. We need a renaissance. As an Italian woman, when 60% of Europe went under with the Black Plague because of the filthy sanitation and the people were killing themselves. How do you say in Italian, in the manner of the Romans and the ancients, to describe the quality of their work in the Renaissance? That's what we need. We need a Renaissance to bring back the true meaning of the human spirit of America, when it was the country that everybody in the world wanted to come to because it was the land of opportunity and it wasn't owned by the bigs.
You know, I thought of you while I was in Italy vacationing, and I'm like, why don't we just move back here, Gerald? But I was on the, seaside resort. I saw folks, most of them over 75, over 80, biking, walking, playing with their grandkids in the sand, swimming, active, fit, thin, more fit. And it's the way of life. And it makes me think, like, look at these folks considered, senior, whatever, but still enjoying life, active, enjoying their family. And it's just really has to do with the quality of life. I mean, I took my husband grocery shopping there. He's American, as you know, Gerald, and he was just blown away by the quality of the produce. He was like, whoa, those zucchinis have flowers on them. And I'm like, yeah, that's the way they're supposed to come. But you don't see these zucchinis unless you go to a market in the US. You don't see those at Whole Foods, and you're paying 10x, what we were paying in Italy, 20x maybe.
I know. By the way, the first book I worked on was Natural Healing back in the 80s when no one
was
talking about this stuff. And again, I buy organic, and I can't believe, I could afford it. People can't afford this stuff.
No.
I get a bill of $120. For what? Again, people can, and I'm one guy. How can you feed a family like this? So the people are eating junk and they're turning into junk. Again, when you look at COVID, again, the data, according to the CDC, 61% of 1 to 17-year-olds that were hospitalized were obese.
Yeah, it really just comes down to the quality of food, and we're feeding people processed food and garbage, and they don't have access. Because everyone in Italy even if you're not making that much, you could afford good quality produce because that's the only selection there is. So I don't know, where the mandate comes from, but it's obviously, a top priority, I would say for most European countries. Anyhow, a sad state of affairs, Gerald.
Again, everybody do what you can to do the best that you can. And again, go to Occupy Peace, occupypeace.com. and try to come to the rally up here in September, because I'm a warrior for the Prince of Peace. Because
what's the date on that again? September
28th.
28th.
And it's go to Occupy Peace. It's all there. And again, if we don't have peace on earth, it's going to be hell on earth.
And people get to meet Gerald in real life. He's even better in real life. I can attest to that. Gerald, well, my positive thing for the day was speaking with you, so thank you.
Thank you for all that you do. I really appreciate being on with you, and I'm so grateful. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Gerald. Trends forecast. Get your copy today. Stay on top of it all. Stay on top of it all. Stay on top of it before it happens, because Gerald just knows somehow. That's it for me. We'll have more great content coming your way, so be sure to stay tuned to the Daniela Cambone Show and sign up at danielacambone.com. We'll see you soon.